This is BoomerLife on CL 650.
And welcome back to the show, BoomerLife, CL 650, with our SnoreDentist in-house today. SnoreDentist.ca is the website for Dr. Charnel Muir, based in North Vancouver. And if you want to make an appointment, you can go right on the website and fill it out, and away you go.
Yep.
All right, easy to do. And also joining us from Washington State is Steve Wick. He's the author of a book called Kicking the Bear Out of the Bedroom, Snoring and Sleep Apnea, the Not-So-Silent Killer. So there's a bit of a different protocol between where Steve lives in the United States here in Canada. So we have in front of me, actually, the kit that you're sending home with me to try. So explain what this is and what it does.
So that's a home sleep monitor. It's a level 3 monitor. It's something that's going to give us an idea of how you're breathing at night, what position you sleep in, what your snoring's like, heart rate, blood oxygen, things like that. And that's versus the hospital-based or facility-based level 1 sleep study, which is, where you go in and they've got the wires on your brain waves and your legs and they measure everything else. This is the cut down version of that. Mm-hmm. And this is much more readily available in British Columbia. In the United States, the vast majority of patients do the hospital-based or facility-based study.
And we have that here, but that's for more extreme cases,
right? For the vast majority of patients, the home sleep monitor is not only easier to wear, it's less, you have less issues with it. You get to use it in your own bed, and it's certainly an adequate way for assessing most patients' sleep.
Have you tried that, Steve?
I've actually done both.
Yeah?
And there's a world of difference. I much prefer the home sleep testing.
Yeah, I bet. Because you probably can't even get to sleep in the hospital. You have things wired to your head, and must be an odd experience.
It's a little bit challenging. On top of that, there's a camera up in the corner that somebody's watching you sleep all night long, so that's fun too.
That's a boring job.
Yeah.
All right, so somebody comes and they get tested and it comes back and it shows that, yes, they have a degree of sleep apnea, and then you're going to do what with them next to get them sleeping better?
So my protocol, we will do paperwork with them if they do have extended health benefits. We do work out any of that kind of paperwork. We see them for an examination and records appointment where we examine their mouth, their teeth, the jaw range of motion. We take impressions of their teeth and their bite registration, everything that's needed to make that appliance custom made for that patient.
Now describe what the appliance is doing for you.
So the appliance itself, they're all 2-piece appliances. They basically hold onto your teeth like a doorknob to hold the door open. They're all going to hold the lower jaw slightly forward by a few millimeters, especially to start. Some patients don't need any more than that. And it prevents the jaw from falling back. And by holding the jaw forward, I'm going to hold the base of the tongue forward. I'm going to keep the airway slightly more open than it was without the device in. But it's also going to increase the airway tone, also in a side-to-side degree, so that the airway itself is less collapsible and less floppy during the sleep. So it stays more open and allows you to breathe better.
Now, these are all custom made.
All
it's
custom
not,
made.
And you have a wide variety of suppliers. Explain how many different units you can sell.
Well, approved right now, there's probably between 70 and 80 different devices on the market right now that are approved by Health Canada and or the FDA in the U.S. So there's probably a half a dozen that I use routinely, depending on what the patient presents with as far as teeth and jaws and space and likes and dislikes and all sorts of things. So I always try to have the patient involved in the choice of the appliance if there is more than one that they can pick from, because that gives them that degree of control and it makes them more involved in their therapy.
And what would be a reason to have one over the other? Can you give us an example?
Missing teeth.
Okay.
So for some patients that have all of their adult teeth and don't wear any partial dentures, and by teeth I mean they could be crowns and bridges, anything that doesn't come out of their mouth. So those patients have more options. There's more designs that can fit more teeth. The fewer teeth you have, the more limited we are for options and designs.
And what about people who bite or chew at night?
Grind and clench and that. So there's certain appliances that withstand that force better than others. There's 2 or 3 that I generally will gear towards if someone is a really heavy grinder or clencher. But part of that, too, is if someone comes in and they're already wearing a nighttime appliance for grinding and clenching, we can often design an appliance that looks very similar to that. So it's something that they can adapt to quite easily.
And how long do these last?
It all depends on the product, but we have some that last 3 to 5 years, some that lasts 5 to 7 years, and we've got one out there that has been shown to be worn between 7 and 10 years.
And are does it correlate to price? Are the more expensive ones last longer, or is it just...
There is a fee for the therapy itself, and within that fee there can be a variance of prices as far as the expense of the appliance, but it varies very little. And then there are those temporary appliances that I talked about. So if someone's just going to wear an appliance short term for something, say a pregnancy, they didn't have apnea prior to pregnancy, but they're going to wear an appliance for, say, 10 to 12 months, then we can make them an appliance that's got a durability of a year that we know of. And then if, in fact, they continue to have apnea post-baby, then we can certainly make them a longer-term appliance.
Now, what's your success rate with getting the right appliance the first time? Is it typically pretty high?
It's pretty high. Yeah, we rarely, if ever, will need to switch appliance designs. I can only think of 1 or 2 examples in the last, say, 300 to 500 patients that we've actually changed designs on for them.
That's Dr. Charnel Muir, the SnoreDentist, and also joining us is Steve Wick, the author of Kicking the Bear Out of the Bedroom, Snoring and Sleep Apnea, the Not-So-Silent Killers. Now, Steve, what was your experience when you went in to get fitted for your oral device?
The first one that I tried was the one that I'd seen on my physician's desk, and it although it was a 2-piece device, the 2 pieces locked together, and so if you can imagine sleeping with your upper and lower jaw attached and not being able to open your mouth, that was my first experience, and that didn't last very long because I was a little claustrophobic, and so I tried another device that allowed me to open and close my mouth. But one of the things that I want to let your listeners know is that they will oftentimes, especially on late-night TV, if you're not sleeping, you may have seen ads for the boil and bite type snore guards that you can get at the pharmacy. And I would highly recommend that you don't go down that road because that can cause all kinds of other problems, especially tooth movement and jaw pain. You're much better off to go see a specialist like Dr. Muir and get a custom appliance made than trying to do it the cheap and expensive way and buying one at the pharmacy and doing your own boil and bite.
So this is a medical prescription that you're giving somebody a device, a medical device, other than the boil and bite sort of thing. So what do you say to people that have tried that, Dr. Muir, in the past, that tried the boil and bite system and come into you? Well,
some of them, it's hard to even get them to admit they've tried it, right? Because they're embarrassed or they're like, well, I did try that, But you know what? Okay, fair enough. You tried it. It made your teeth hurt. It made your jaw hurt. It only lasted for 60 days before it started falling out. You couldn't get your lips closed around it. There's any number of issues that people have with it. But it's also not a diagnostic tool. So, for instance, if you can wear a boil and bite for, say, 3 to 4 weeks, and it's successful, well, you're going to do really well with a custom-made appliance. It's going to fit better, feel better, thinner, close your lips, work better, adjustable. But just because you wore a boil and bite and it didn't work for you, that doesn't necessarily mean the custom one won't. So it's not a predictor in that way. So you can't predict failure just because you failed at a boil and bite. So just because you've tried one and it didn't work for you, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be coming in and letting me have a look and see if there's something I can build for you.
And the take-home sleep test, the one that I'm going to take home today, is really evidence-based. You have the real hard facts that you're not sleeping well.
Yeah. And it's going to rule in or out any number of medical things that we need to look at. It may, in fact, show you have primary snoring, which means you only snore. And if that's the case, off we go. We can treat you for snoring only. But that needs to be ruled in or out before we can treat you.
Steve, any last thoughts before we say goodbye to you today? Your book, Kicking the Bear Out of the Bedroom, Snoring and Sleep Apnea, the Not-So-Silent Killers. What's your last piece of advice, having lived through being diagnosed, having a CPAP machine, going to the oral appliance? What do you say?
If there's any chance that you're suffering, you need to go find out if, in fact, you have a problem. And I have a great little game that you can do at your next dinner party. I know everybody can snore, and I don't want to do it on the radio, but you can sit here and mimic a snore. So you can make a snoring sound, and then what I would challenge the people to do is take your lower jaw and posture it or move it forward and try and make that same snoring sound again. And 9 times out of 10, you can't. And so what that shows you is that, number one, you may, in fact, have a condition, but number two, that appliance is moving your lower jaw forward is going to fix it.
You know, Dwayne, our producer behind the glass, he was doing it. I could see him doing it. That's a good little, I've never heard that one before, so that's a good little test.
Yeah, that'll be great fun at my next dinner party.
Yeah, it is fun at dinner parties.
It's also trying to, have you ever done the game at the dinner parties where you have to eat a cracker and then try to whistle in 1 minute? That's a fun one. That's good. That gets the party going. It's a little bit dull. Steve Wick, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And maybe we'll have you in studio sometime if you're up in BC.
I'd love it.
Okay, good to hear. And Dr. Charnel Muir, the SnoreDentist, SnoreDentist.ca. You can book an appointment right online, right?
Absolutely. Right on the website, there's online appointments. Go ahead and schedule yourself in for a consultation.
And I'm taking home, what is this called?
You're going to take home the home sleep monitor.
And I'm going to deliver it to your office tomorrow.
Yes.
See how I do.
There you go.
I'm sure I'll be back. I know it. Thanks to both of you for being our guests. And this is Boomer Life on CL660. I'm Zach Spencer, a snorer. And I'll speak to you next time. Right here.